corruption, cheating, even crime. These were words used to describe the events of one match and a World Cup group stage all the way back in 1982. But the effects of this controversy would live on for further than just one tournament. The victims were devastated, and rightfully so. This is the story of the disgrace of Gijón. On the 25th of June 1982, two teams lined up for a final group stage match in the World Cup, but the real story started years earlier. Now before I get too far into this video, I should say that this idea actually came from a comment on my last video, so many thanks to the person who wrote a comment about it. They weren't even asking me to do this video, but it inspired me nonetheless, so feel free to comment any video ideas you'd want to see. Anyways, back to the video. Looking at the 1982 World Cup, there was one group which saw these events unfold. Group 2 of the competition consisted of Chile, Austria, Algeria and West Germany, who we'll have a look at a bit further. Rewind 4 years and West Germany had entered the 1978 World Cup as reigning champions and were looking to defend their title. It's worth noting that the format of the competition was a little different to today, consisting of two separate group stages in which the second set would determine which two teams made the final. In the first group stage, West Germany disappointed, winning just once in a group containing Poland, Tunisia and Mexico. In fact, what's so important about this group stage is that Tunisia became the first ever African team to win a World Cup game, beating Mexico. Remember this piece of information for later. West Germany would once again flop in their second group stage, winning none of their 3 games against the Netherlands, Italy and Austria. The tournament was near disgraceful for the country, going from World Cup champions to only winning once from 6 matches in just 4 short years. This meant that a strong performance at the upcoming Euro 80 tournament was vital, and they performed. Smashing through a group featuring the previous World Cup finalist Netherlands, West Germany went on to win the whole thing, going from a laughingstock to one of the most respected national sides in the world in just 2 years. However, it may have done more long-term damage than good. This made the West Germans cocky, and having won the Euros twice and the World Cup once in the 10 years before the 1982 World Cup, they were sure of themselves. Alongside a Brazil team featuring stars like Zico and Socrates, West Germany entered the competition as favourites, and acted that way. Having drawn what they saw as an easy group, the West Germans selected just 19 players of their allotted 22. They expected to breeze through the group stages, especially given their toughest opponents Austria had already lost to them twice in qualification, where the West Germans would see a 100% record. Their opening match would be against Algeria, whom they showed no respect for. Former Real Madrid star Paul Breitner even said, "We will dedicate our 7th goal to our wives and the 8th to our dogs." It's fair to say they were quite confident. The first half was massively tense, with neither side managing to break the deadlock, and going into half time, the West Germans were a long way off the 8-goal win they were expecting. They'd put their head down going into the second half though, having learnt to show their opponents some more respect. Nah, I'm just playing. They continue to be dickheads. But then, come the 54th minute, Algeria scored. Rabah Majer got to a rebounded shot first, smashing the ball past 2 defenders on the line. The West Germans were embarrassed. Finally, they started to get their head in the game and actually tried. Algeria's defence remained resistant until the 67th minute where the European side would equalise. It took over an hour, but finally they learnt some humility and wanted to win the game through merit. After scoring, the entire team ran back into their half, ready to score again and win the game. Algeria had tried their best, but they simply wouldn't be good enough. Oh, sorry, before I could finish that sentence, Algeria went ahead again. Yes, that's right. West Germany spent less than a minute level before conceding once again, having let the Algerians in behind nearly straight from kickoff. But this time, the West Germans wouldn't be able to equalise. In one of the greatest World Cup moments ever, West Germany would be just the second team to ever lose to an African nation in the World Cup, and the first ever European side. It felt like with just that win, justice had been served. Austria beat Chile 1-0 the next day, meaning after one round of fixtures, the group looked like this. Following their embarrassing loss, West Germany would learn some humility, beating Chile 4-1 and putting qualification for the next round back in their hands, with Algeria going on to lose against Austria 2-0. The group table looked like this after 2 games, and of course the format of the World Cup meant that goal difference would decide who went through to the next round, should 2 or more teams finish level on points. Despite having lost to both West Germany and Austria, the European nations were confident that Chile would beat Algeria on the 24th of June, meaning it would be almost certain they'd both make it through to the knockout stages with their superior goal difference. This meant that their fixture the following day would be nothing more than a friendly game where both sides could field weakened teams. But within just 35 minutes, Algeria found themselves 3-0 up, and the European sides had an issue. If the score stayed the same, it was impossible for both nations to progress. Luckily for them, a penalty and a wonder goal for Chile ended the game 3-2, meaning if West Germany were to win 1 or 2-0, both Austria and West Germany would progress. The chances of this happening would be very slim though. Austria had the ability to play for a draw and potentially even counter-attack and score to win, giving them their best chance of progressing. And West Germany would be unlikely to score just once and put their foot off the gas. And one day after Algeria's win, Austria vs West Germany kicked off, with the game taking place in the Estadio El Molinón in Gijón. There were many Algerian fans in the crowd hoping to see their side progress through to the knockouts and make history for not only their country, but also their continent. Sadly, as I'm sure you could tell from the title, things did not go to plan. West Germany dominated the early stages of the game, and after 10 minutes finally scored, and it looked like the floodgates were about to open. It appeared like we were going to see an absolute battering, and potentially even a record-breaking result. It wouldn't be Algeria that West Germany would score 7 or 8 against, it would be Austria. But then as Austria kicked off following conceding, the game as we knew it stopped. Within a minute, Austria had kicked the ball out of play and West Germany had a goal kick. Instead of attacking like they had previously, they just passed the ball round, rarely entering the opposition half. After a few minutes, the Algerian fans in the stadium realised what was happening. They were fixing the game. Anytime Austria won possession back, they would blaze the ball wide of the mark, and it's evident they weren't trying to score. The only player on the entire pitch who seemed to be working was Austrian forward Walter Schachner, who was chasing the golden boot. With the two teams showing no desire, it looked evident to fans that before the game there must have been an agreement between the two sides, that if West Germany scored first, then they would both see out the game as a 1-0. Now I'd like to make it clear, I think it's highly unlikely that an agreement like this would have taken place, but it doesn't take a genius to work out that if the score stayed the same, it would work for both teams. The Germans would be happy with 1-0 as it saw them progress, and for the Austrians it meant a second place finish would see an easier run in the next round. The players would have obviously known this, and with a bit of intuition, each set of players could work in unison. Like I mentioned, the only reason for a player to not join in would be if they had something to gain from scoring. For example, Walter Schachner and his golden boot aspirations. If Austria tried to score, then they'd probably just be blown away by a far superior West Germany side and would end up being knocked out of the competition themselves. As the teams went in for half time, the Algerian fans in the crowd would be seen waving money at the players, signifying they knew something fishy was going on. But the second half would be even worse. Anybody watching the game was appalled, and that includes fans of either side. West German commentator Eberhard Staniak refused to speak for a large portion of the second half. And on the Austrian side it would be no different, where commentator Robert Seeger asked viewers to stop watching. It was a disgrace, and everybody knew it. The crowd, largely filled with either Spanish neutrals or Algerians, started to chant "Let them kiss" as the game drew to a close. And like I mentioned, it wasn't just neutrals that were dismayed, even Austrians and West Germans were disgusted. It's even believed that a West German supporter watching burnt his flag, having lost all national pride. The game ended 1-0 and Algeria had been knocked out. After the game, the match report was published in the crime section of El Comercio. In the days following the match, FIFA were forced into starting an investigation through pressure from fans and Algeria having filed a complaint. After just a 3-hour meeting, FIFA determined that there had been no wrongdoing, although did miraculously decide that final group stage matches should be played at the same time to stop this from happening again in the future. Now I don't know about you, but that sounds to me like FIFA had thought something was fishy. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, the vice president of FIFA at the time may or may not have been Hermann Neuberger, who happened to also be president of the German FA, but something like that surely wouldn't get in the way of producing an unbiased, fair outcome. Luckily, Austria would be eliminated in the next phase of the competition, where they'd be in a group containing France and Northern Ireland, whereas West Germany would knock out both host nation Spain and an England side with a perfect record beforehand. Sounds like they would have been a really popular bunch. West Germany then squeezed through to the final on penalties, having had an extra half-week of rest going into the semis. Good lord, this is sounding so much more dodgy with each word I say. Where they'd face Italy. The Italians would do the entire world a favour and smashed West Germany in the final, winning 3-1, becoming just the second team in the tournament to beat them. Alongside the victims in all this, Algeria. Having been robbed of their chance to make the knockouts, Algeria would see 32 years pass before finally being given their chance in the 2014 edition. It was beautiful to see that in the nation where football is like an art, Algeria would finally be able to forget the wrongdoing by the West Germans in 1982. And in the round of 16, they'd come up against Germany. Off. The World Cup is supposed to unify everyone across the globe, and with over 3 billion people set to witness the upcoming tournament in Qatar, hopefully we won't see anything like what I've spoken about today occur once again. Football is so many things all at once, but on the 25th of June 1982, the only word applicable is disgraceful. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, it actually came from a comment on my last vid, so make sure you comment what you'd like to see next on this one. I upload every Tuesday and will try to fit in as many Saturday uploads as I can, but these videos do take time, so make sure you keep up to date with our community tab for any more info. If I missed anything out, do let me know, but for now, it's a goodbye from me, and most importantly, enjoy your day.